Welcome, everybody. I want to welcome you to another episode of Billionaire Belief. We have my man, Mr. Juan Pablo, on from 100% Finance. How's it going, brother?
What's going on, Diesel, and all you guys out there who's a subscriber and listener to Billionaire Belief? What's going on?
Hey, well, it's a pleasure to have you on, my brother. I just want to first kick things off by giving you an opportunity to let us all know who you are. So begin by just sharing your story, the then and the now.
All right, cool, man. But thanks again, first and foremost, to Diesel for bringing me on his show. It's a great honor and a privilege. But a little bit about myself. My name is Juan Pablo. I'm a full-time real estate investor and online entrepreneur. But like most people who become successful, they don't start off that way, with a silver spoon in their mouth. I grew up pretty poor, and I always had a desire to make something out of myself. I didn't want to perpetuate this poverty-stricken mindset that I grew up around. Whether it's friends or families or just your environment. I'm like, there has to be a better lifestyle out there. So I went to college, paid myself through college, graduated, but I still had those bad, mindsets about money, about wealth, and things like that. And I graduated college, broke, bad credit, living at home with my mom's. So it was kind of like a humbling experience, especially all my homeboys, my frat brothers. Shout out to Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity. All my homeboys, frat brothers, they're all getting these nice jobs in New York City. Making $40,000 to $60,000 a year, getting signing bonuses, and I'm living at home unemployed with a decent GPA, by the way. I had like a 3.2 GPA. I was involved in many organizations, but it didn't come out to mean nothing. So I end up getting a job at a newspaper plant where I would create the daily paper. So I'll be up to like 3 in the morning, putting the paper into this machine, the printing press, having ink all on my clothes, lifting the stacks of paper, loading them up on the trucks. So it was manual labor. Meanwhile, I had a business degree in economics with a minor in statistics, but I'm actually trading my hours for dollars, making like $8 an hour. So it's very humbling. And my mom, and I said it kind of sucked. My mom's a great person. I always say this to her. She's a great person. I love my mom. It just sucked for me as a man to actually have to go back and live with my mom. You know what I'm saying? Because I felt like I should have more out of life. I thought I deserved better than just being below average, pretty much.
Exactly.
My mom, she got me the best book that I can ever receive. It was some knowledge. It was a book by Robert Kiyosaki, Think and Grow Rich. No, not Think and Grow Rich. Rich Dad Poor Dad.
She gave me the first one we all get, Juan.
Yeah, she gave me Rich Dad Poor Dad. I read it. And from that day forward, I said, you know what? I want to go into real estate. I didn't know anyone I was in real estate. I didn't have like a model to follow. But I'm like, you know what? That's what I want to do. So in my spare time, and I say this to a lot of people, if you have a strong desire and you might have a day job or whatever, other commitments that take up a big chunk of your day, like your 9 to 5, for example, but use your spare time to make yourself rich. Mm-hmm. And that's what I ended up doing. So being that I was living at home with my mom, working at this dead-end job, I said, you know what? I'm going to make my spare time to at least improve my earning potential. My not my passive income at this point, but my earned income. So my spare time, I was going to the library. I was going to interviews. I was going to networking events. I was working on my resume. That's all I was doing. I straight cut out my social life. No more hanging out, no dates, no watching the game. If you have like somewhat of a knowledge of what's going on in sports, that's a luxury you can't afford if you're not at the point where you want to be financially speaking. And I'm like, you know what? I'm cutting all that out. I don't care. Don't ask me about any updates or current events. I'm not going to be aware of it because my head is going to be in this computer, in this book, or networking with people or going on interviews. So fast forward 6 months, I get a job in New York City with this still desire to be in real estate. And I met this guy at church, and for some reason we just started chatting after church, and he was like, yo, I'm in the business too. Yo, you should go to this group in Harlem. It's based off the Rich Dad principles. He was like, you ever read that book? I was like, yeah, I read that book, man. I straight devoured that book in like 3 days. He's like, bro, you should go to this group in Harlem. So I go to the group, and the group meeting, I think, starts at 1 p.m. It's from 1 to 4, no intermissions, no breaks, just straight knowledge for 4 hours for free as well. All you got to do is just show up. And so he says, all right, if you're a new person, subscribe to my website, and then come to the orientation at 12:30, 30 minutes prior to the start of the group. So I go on his website, I subscribe, to get a part of his mailing list, and I see there's like 600 members in the group. I subscribe, I meet him in person. His name is Dwayne. And I was the only person who's a new member, so I had the opportunity just to chat with this dude one-on-one. And I don't know this guy, so he's sitting across from me, just kind of like I'm sitting across from you, for example. And he's like, to establish credibility, he's like, oh, I got a bazillion properties, I got like 13,000 different businesses, yada yada yada. And I'm like, all right, whatever, dog. Like, why are you telling me all this? Now I know he's telling me this to build credibility. That's another learning lesson. You just don't want to accept advice for someone who's not credible.
Uh-oh. There you go.
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, I was getting a call. People all the time wants to tell like, oh, you should do this, you should do that. They always want to give you an opinion, but it might not be valid. Mm-hmm. It might not be a credible source of advice. So he established that credibility head on, and he was like, so what are your goals out this group? I'm like, well, goals? I mean, I just know I want to get into real estate. I think it'd be kind of dope to have like a rental property or two, or even like buy a property, let it appreciate and sell it. I thought that'd be really cool. And then he proceeded to do this. And again, I didn't know him first time meeting him. He got his finger and started poking me in my chest, like, my goal for you, like forcefully, is to be able to quit your day job. And I'm like, bro, I don't even know you like that, man. You'll be all over my personal space poking me and stuff like that. And he's like, no, but my goal for you is to say goodbye to the 9 to 5. And at that moment, I had a paradigm shift, and I'm like, I was never exposed to the idea that you can say goodbye to having a day job. I thought like you always had to work, based upon society's norms, going to school, they kind of train you to be an employee. Exactly. I'm thinking like, all right, I still want to do real estate, but I know I still need to have a day job. So maybe I can do a little bit of both this and this. But I'm like, I never thought conceptually that I can actually do this full time. I'll be a real estate investor. So then I go to the class after he says that, and I felt like a fifth grader in a college course. So I'm so like most people think like that. Like they follow your channel, for example, Billionaire Belief. They might think like, man, this dude is speaking Chinese right now, man. He's talking about financial freedom. He's talking about passive income. He's talking about debt to credit ratio, or he's talking about how to leverage your net. Like all these terms that might be specifics to personal development, to growth, to finances, to real estate, for example, mortgages. All this stuff flew over my head. But the key thing is I felt like I belonged.
Exactly.
I felt like I belonged. And I said, you know what? I'm going to keep coming because I believe consistency is the key. And like I said earlier, when I subscribed to his website, there were 600 members. And being that I would go to his group meeting every month for a period of 6 years, right? Traveling from my place in Jersey City to Harlem, which if you're unfamiliar with the New York, New Jersey area, and there's no cars, by the way, it's all buses and trains. It's like an hour and a half commute to a bus, to a train, to a train, to another bus, things like that. So I would spend an hour and a half of my day traveling just to sit in this free course for 4 hours. It was very unstructured. It was just question and answer. It was just his way of giving back. And out of those 600 people, I consistently saw the same 6 people every month. Mm-hmm. And the crazy part I've soon discovered is people, they place value on things that's a dollar attached to it.
Yes.
So if you're hosting some type of free event, for example, to give back, a charitable thing, they'll say, oh, it's free, so I don't have to go, blah blah blah. But if he was charging maybe $100 at the door or $1,000, blah blah blah, that line would be all the way down the street. So what I'm saying to you, and I mean to all your subscribers out there, continue to follow this guy, listen to his content, and absorb as much as you can. And don't think that it's not valuable because he gets a lot of free content. It's extremely valuable. But just be consistent and continue to follow up with it.
Exactly, Mr. Pablo. And a lot of value that you just shared there, a lot of valuable insight from making the commitment to, like you said, exile yourself in a sense from your social life. And I did the same, literally, bro, the same exact thing, because like you said, once I realized I can't how is it that I know? I realized one day, Pablo, I was like, how is it I know stats about a professional athlete from college, which was 4 years ago? Like literally, like, oh, I know that such and such, yeah. Kyle Lowry, he played at Villanova. He played with. I could just name these things, but then it was just like, well, what is your debt to ratio at? And I was like, huh? Well, you know, what are? And you read the personal financial statement.
Right.
Like you said, but I was saying that I wanted to achieve this goal of financial freedom, but I wasn't mentally locked in. And then once I really realized that, I had my aha moment. Like you said, I did the same exact thing as you. I exiled myself, but it was through that I gained the knowledge that allowed me to be able to make better decisions for myself, and which has led me to the point to where, like I said, I did create the Billionaire Belief platform because it got to a point where I realized, I was like, well, wait a minute, like, I know that just you know, my frat brothers, for example, the brothers in my chapter, I'm like, well, I know that and you know, in school we talked about how we want to own houses and be able to take trips and be able to provide for our families. But I just, now that we're in an arena where we can do those things, I really don't see them doing that. You know, I see them, like you said, everyone got a good job and they were getting their signing bonuses. I was literally, bro, your story and our stories parallel so much because I was like, damn, you know, like everyone's getting a good, quote unquote, good job. But in the back of my mind, I still felt one. I was like, well, right now, like I know it looks good, but you know, my grandfather, for example, he's 85 years old and counting. My grandmother, she's like 79 and counting. So I at that young of an age, like 20, 21, I was just like, well, if they're 80, that means that I have a good chance of being 80. So that means I got 40 years, 50 years, 60 years of living left. So do I want to just, you know what I'm saying, kind of like commit myself to the traditional good life? Or do I want to do what I know, what I believe, where I belong, and what I'm capable of? And I'm glad I made that decision, because if I probably wouldn't, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now. But
I say that often too, man. Like just to motivate people. I'm like, imagine if Steve Jobs was working at some Fortune 500 company, and he had the idea to say, you know what, I want to move forward with Mac, or I want to move forward with iPhone or the iPad or what have you. He's actually by him remaining at a Fortune 500 company, sure, it might be a great job with great benefits, but you're actually robbing the world of your gift. You're not able to give people the value that they should receive from you by you being committed to some other man's business. So you're doing the world a disservice, I should say.
Exactly. So with that being said, let's kind of keep things going. So kind of within the lane of success, can you share with us your favorite success quote?
Oh, my favorite success quote. Ooh, oh, that's a good one. My favorite success quote is this: is that use someone else's money to get rich, use your own money to have fun with. And that's kind of a model that I pretty much coined myself, because that's why I named the website 100% Finance, because I'm starting out slowly but surely in real estate investing. You know, I would use my savings for down payments. So it might take me a whole year to save up for one property. And, you know, by all means, that's great. You know, I'm all for it, you know, for progression. But I just felt like it was slowly progressing, and I wanted it to go exponential, you know, like through the roof. And I'm like, well, there has to be a way, because I'm thinking like having the end in mind, you know, like Dr. Stephen Covey, you know, determining from the beginning. I'm like, if I really want to live this lifestyle of being a full-time real estate investor, I cannot continue to rely on my paycheck to finance my down payments for rental properties. So I'm thinking like, what can I do to overcome this obstacle? And that's when I discovered, if I use 100% financing, meaning little to none of my own money's in the deal, then there's no limit to how many properties I can buy. You know, because I'm financing it 100%. And then the money that I generate, I can obviously use that to have fun with.
Exactly. And it's very important that you say that, Juan, because one of the lessons that I had to realize is, you know, we always hear this thing, you know, it takes money to make money. And you know, like I said, and if you're really serious about it, you do go through that psychological process of, okay, well, it takes money to make money. Like I'm making, you know, $50,000 a year. So if I could save, you know, $200 a month, you know, that's $2,400 a month. But it's just like, damn, a down payment for the house I'm gonna get is $10,000. You know, it's gonna take me 20. If it's, let's make our numbers easy, 2,000. So it'll take me 5 years to get the down payment for that property. And so, like you said, that in and of itself can be discouraging, because I've had people tell me like, "Oh, it's no point. You know, it's gonna take too long." But then, like I said, from being able to just read the books that we've talked about, the Rich Dad Poor Dad specifically, and just from being on YouTube and coming across, for example, some of your videos, you will learn that yes, it takes money to make money, but it doesn't have to be my money. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't understand, is that yes, it does take money to make money, but it doesn't have to necessarily be your money. So if you can like kind of briefly just kind of give a little bit more detail about that, just so like the viewers can understand this, the importance of that success quote that you shared.
Okay, great. Yeah, it's all about creative financing. It's well, I should say there's always three things you should bring to the table, or one of the three things you should bring to the table. To me, it's you got to be able to bring, when I'm analyzing the deal, I'll look for the cash flow, make sure the gross revenue minus the operating expenses, the debt, just money left over in your pocket. And the second is 100% finance, that you're getting this income producing asset with little to no money out of your pocket. And again, it's your pocket is the key word. So other ways you can finance these deals is if you're using a single family model, for example, like a distressed single family home, it can be a foreclosure or REO, which is a real estate owned property. You can easily use hard money for that. Hard money is just basically a lender. Normally they're a private lender. They'll lend you the money to buy this beat up house and the money to fix it up, the rehab cost, as long as you buy it at a certain price point, which is normally 65 to 75% of the after repair value. In other words, it's coined the ARV or the ARV. That's 100% financing right there. Another way with multifamily, which is my bread and butter, I use partners. I use private lenders, like people I know, network with. Because if you're starting out and you don't have the money like most people, you got a network. Your net worth is determined by your network. The more people you know and serve, the more money you end up making. So you want to always increase your knowledge and increase your network. So I have people who will be willing to lend me money because I give them, a decent return, or they want to partner with me. I also use business credit as well. That's another way of financing tools. These are my homeboys. I call it my money team. This is a stack of credit cards I use to finance deals. So that's why it's important to have leverage. So I figured, all right, starting out, I had bad credit, no money, no expertise. So I said, all right, maybe I can work on two things. Maybe I can work on increasing my expertise by networking with people and increase my knowledge, going to YouTube University, listening to podcasts, networking, going to seminars, picking people's brains, taking them out to lunch on my dime just to pick their brains, you know what I'm saying? So I would do that. Secondly, besides trying to increase my expertise, I also try to increase my leverage by improving my credit. So I underwent credit repair, and then once my credit got to a certain point, I can qualify for business credit with a personal guarantee. So I would get financing for my multifamily investment deals. And of course, that also related towards the money part, the down payment. So that way I was able to get down payment money. Because if you have good credit, someone told me, like with business and real estate in general, if you have decent credit and a little bit of money, the world's your oyster when it comes to real estate investing and business, because you can leverage it. Because your credit is short for credibility. Having decent credit shows how credible you are. And in the Bible, it says that a good name is better than silver and gold. A good name is also related to your credit. So as long as you have decent credit, and you might not have the silver and gold, you might not have the down payment money, but as long as you have that good credit, you'll be able to create your own money team.
There it is.
Use stuff like that to leverage.
So with that being said, obviously you had a stack of credit cards for us. That's the money team and everything. But you and I both know that there were some trials and tribulations that led to you being able to create that money team. So briefly, can you just kind of share some of or I would say this, how about you share a major failure and what you did to overcome that in relation, obviously within the context of you going from the college student who had no credit, no money, to the phenomenal real estate investor that you are right now.
Oh, thanks, man. Oh, major failure. Major business failure was while I was in Jersey City, I purchased a two-family house, and sorry about that. While in Jersey City, I bought a two-family house, and several international agencies because I had a business that was for short-term housing accommodation, similar to Airbnb before Airbnb came into place. So, but I would do my own marketing. So I would contract with different language institutions in the New York City area and say, hey, I will house your international students for $700 to $900 per room, as long as it was furnished, included utilities, and um, and the internet. That's pretty much all they wanted. And they never spent time at home because they're too busy trying to network, go to class, experience New York City. You know, if they're coming from Japan, they're coming from Brazil, all over the country. I mean, all over the world, I should say. So I would just be their host, and they would come and say, "Hey, Juan," they would say, "Hey, Juan, what do you mean by it's raining cats and dogs? What do you mean?" So I had to explain, all right, listen, guy, this is this is an expression, it's an idiom. And what that means is, it's raining heavily outside. So stuff like that. So I had that business. So I was doing well just for my house and thinking like the Airbnb model before it came into being. I was thinking, you know what? Maybe if I get some other people who had places for rent, and since I was marketing all the time, perhaps I can have them actually come. I can bring students into their place and get paid. And maybe, if they had a 3-bedroom apartment, pay them maybe 1,000, and I'll get maybe $700 per room, and I'll eat the spread.
Exactly.
So I told this to another business friend of mine, and he was like, "Yo, Juan, that's a great idea." I said, "But I have the market. I have the students who want this housing." I said, "But I will need your help if you can find the inventory, find the people who be willing to lease their apartment." So he ended up finding a dormitory in Brooklyn. So the dormitory was great, but the downside was they had a different inventory that I was advertising on my website, which was you get your own room in a house with the host, so you can practice your English and things like that. With this different inventory, it was a dorm, and the dorm was sharing beds, and it was a higher price point. Instead of me charging them $700 for their own single room, this dorm was you pay $1,000 for a bed that you'll be sharing a room with.
Got you.
So it's a little different. And so the failure came into play where we tried to lease all these rooms first before we had the demand. So now I learned quickly is you want to have the demand first before you go ahead and purchase the supply. So we went forward and got the supply first that didn't fit my demand, which was $700 for their own room. So then I was trying to like run around with like a chicken with his head cut off, trying to find new people who will want to stay here. Like that's what most people do in business. They say, "Oh, I got this ruler, guys. Who wants this ruler? Who wants to buy it? Who wants to buy it? You want to buy it? You want to buy it? You want to buy it?" And everyone's like, "No, bro, I don't want a ruler.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not into I don't know geometry or drawing or whatever. I don't need a ruler." And then you're stuck holding the bag.
Mm-hmm.
Then I realized, all right, what I should do is I should go to my market and say, "Hey, what do you want? What do you want? What would you like?" Like what I do with the website. So, oh, you want to get into real estate, but your credit's bad. Oh, so maybe I should start a credit repair company. Oh, you're the same way. Oh, you want to do credit repair, but you think credit repair is a scam, so you rather do it yourself. Okay, so let me create a do-it-yourself credit repair ebook. Oh, you're into starting your own business, but you need funding, but you don't know how to get it. Oh, you want to start into real estate, but your problem is coming up with down payment money. So you two are related. So maybe I should create a business credit consulting firm. Mm-hmm. So now I'm like, I interview the market first. I survey what their needs and wants are, and then I create a product around that. And I make sure that the market is involved with the creation of the product, because then they'll be more likely to buy. So that was like the learning lesson I learned from that. Is don't go ahead and buy a ton of all these supplies. Like people say, I want to start my own soaping business, so I'm gonna buy 10,000 bars of soap and then try to sell it, and then they're left holding the bag. So I learned that a valuable lesson after that, because I end up at that point leasing 0 of those rooms in that dormitory. So that was a humbling experience. Out of the, we paid for a deposit. We partially paid for 24 beds, and out of 24, we leased 0. So
Wow.
and that just goes to show, like we were talking earlier before we started the live recording about like some people do like all this analysis for 3 years, they haven't got started, yada yada yada. And I remember a story Robert Kiyosaki said. He said he was doing a seminar about how to start a business, and one guy just rudely stood up, interjected, and was like, "Hey, ain't it true that 9 out of 10 businesses fail within the first 5 years, and then after that first 5 years, 9 out of 10 of those also fail, or something along those lines, or either 4 out of 5 or 9 out of 10, whatever." And he was like, "Yeah, that's true. That's why I knew I had to start at least 10 businesses." He's like, "I struck out my first business, struck out on the second one. The third one, though, I hit a home run." And that's the same thing with me. So with that business, that was like one of my first businesses, struck out. I tried starting a language business since I had dealt with a lot of international students with the short-term housing accommodation business I had. Struck out with that. And now I'm starting to hit it, a couple base hits with this business. So, and with real estate investing.
That was some valuable insight there, Mr. Pablo. One of the main things I got from it was get the buyer first, figure out what they want, and then sell them what they want, as opposed to trying to go get a product and be a seller and say, "Hey, I got, like you said, I got this pen. I got the pen. Like, who wants the pen? Who wants the pen?" And everyone's like, "Well, we use pencils now." And you're just like,
I know we use iPads now, dog. Like,
yeah, or we're using iPads now. Like, or hey, I do need a pen, but do you have an iPad pen? And I'm like, "No, I only got an ink pen." And they're like, "Oh, I can't help you. I don't need what you have to offer." So that's very important. And like you said, the analysis by paralysis, that's definitely an area where I've observed a lot of people get trip themselves up at the end of the day. But most importantly, I think the biggest thing that you said, Juan, was that stat, and a lot of people, I think this is a stat that scares a lot of people back into quote unquote the rat race, is 9 out of 10 businesses fail. But like you, when I first read that stat, unlike most people, I didn't look at it as, well, man, if 9 out of 10 businesses fail, then I shouldn't start one, because I'm 9 out of 10 fail. I'm going to be one of the failures. In my mind, I said, well, if 9 out of 10 businesses fail, then I just have to keep starting them until I get the one that works. Like,
right.
just do that. But it's interesting to me when I hear that come out of another person's mouth, because it's like, okay, well, I'm not the only one thinking these quote unquote insane and crazy thoughts. But then when I do share this with my audience, those in my audience, just as well as some of my peers, some of these guys right here, that twirl those things. It's interesting to me, because it's just a total disconnect, one, and it's kind of like, I'm just sharing this information because I believe it's for you. You know what I'm saying? We're engaged in a conversation. You my frat brother. You talking about how you got a wife and you want to buy a new house, but your credit's bad, and I'm just like, oh well, have you ever considered credit financing, or have you ever, well, instead of y'all buying a house, or if you got, for example, Juan, I had a friend. He had some money, and he was considering buying a house. Then he was like, "Yo, I got this money. What should I do?" And I was just like, well, first and foremost, I'm not a lawyer. I have to get
right.
disclaimer.
CYA.
I was like, but I'm saying, if I was in your position, based upon the goals that you shared with me, I'd actually take this money and invest it in a multifamily house, and because his current living situation, it was okay. I believe they were living with one of their parents. I was like, but if that situation is okay and you guys got the money, why don't you consider, instead of buying a personal residence, why don't you guys buy some multifamily homes? Do that a couple of times, so that by the time you do get to where you might develop the cash flow. You might develop the cash flow to a point to where you don't have to work a 9 to 5 no more, and you can buy her any house. Or then you might not need to buy a house anymore, because you guys can just spend the rest of your life or the rest of your 20s traveling around the world. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it was just interesting that our peers weren't thinking this way. But then I realized, well, if you're not in the game, and by in the game, like you said, Juan, you got to be in the book on YouTube. You're not going to be thinking like that, and you go think, and you go. It's kind of like you you convince yourself into believing that the only way to do it. I think it was you who said, Juan, there's 50 ways to do one deal, or there's 50 ways to do one deal, or you can do find one way to do 50 deals. I believe that was you who said something.
Yeah, something. It's basically like what I do, like one-on-one coaching, and I do group coaching as well. But I tell people, like, it's not about having one way to do 50 deals.
That's it. Yeah.
More so the reverse. Yeah, having at least 50 ways to do one deal. So you become a transactional engineer. So if any deal falls in your lap, you might say, okay, hard money might not work, business credit might not work, private lending might work. Oh, well, maybe I might want to do a master lease option. Or maybe he might be able to entertain seller finance. Or maybe I can wholesale this instead of keeping this in my portfolio. Maybe I can hold it for a little bit and then flip it. So that's all it is, just learning different strategies. So at least you can still make money off of it.
Okay. So with that being said, what was your aha moment in your quest for financial success where you first learned that you as Juan Pablo could turn lemons into lemonade?
Well, I could turn lemons into lemonade. That's pretty good. The first aha moments when I came across creative financing. I played ball just recreationally, just to stay in shape and to be competitive because I like to compete. You know what I'm saying? I like bragging rights. And so I was playing basketball. This is when I lived in New York, but I came down to Atlanta just to visit. And I was playing basketball with some friends I knew from like middle school. And while I'm playing ball, I fell on the ground and my leg was shaking. I'm like, what the heck is going on? I'm thinking like maybe I rolled my ankle, but it was shaking like uncontrollably like this. And I realized I ruptured my Achilles tendon. It was attached. And again, I'm away because I live in New York. I had to be back at work on Monday, and this was like a Saturday or Sunday. And so I go back to New York. I go to the doctor, find out it's ruptured, get surgery. So I'm unable to walk for 2 months. So I'm in my room, I'm at home, and I work for the government. So I had crazy amount of sick leave, like, because I never really got sick, never really got hurt. So I've been working for several years, and so I accumulated a lot of sick leave. So I was able to, with my foot being propped up, just be at home for 2 months on paid leave. And while I'm there, I still had a burning desire when I was 26 that I wanted to quit my day job at 30 years old. And I'm like, this is actually a blessing in disguise because now I got the time available to research this out. And then that's all I did for the 2 months. Not just because every time I came home from work, I would work on my real estate or personal development, how to be a better salesman, how to be a better, better at networking, how to be a better power of persuasion, things like that, personal development, real estate investing. But now I was able to do this for at least 10 hours a day because I didn't have to work. And so I really dove in about creative financing. That's when I learned about hard money, and then not just learning this stuff, but implementing it. So I learned about hard money. I learned about I would network still just online, and one of my old mortgage brokers like, hey, have you ever talked to this guy about business credit? Came across business credit, did some research about how I can convert it to cash and how I can leverage this, and like how can I actually use a credit card to leverage myself into a multifamily property and then do a cash out refinance so I can pull out the equity and pay off that credit card. Because, after a while, the introductory APR will expire in about 12 billing cycles in about a year. So that was kind of like my aha moment. Like now that I had the time and I discovered, oh, I can use this. Oh, I can use 100% financing so I'll have an infinite rate of return on the capital invested.
Hey, that sounds amazing, brother.
Yeah. So when things happen to you, man, you just got to take it in stride and just be thankful for it because who knows what God is setting up for you. Like I didn't think, it's an injury, but you don't think like, wow, now it really freed up my time to get so I could reach my goal to quit my day job by 30. So I'm like, now I'm thinking in retrospect, like, will I still be working my day job, but that injury didn't happen? I mean, I'm walking fine. I can play ball now. Surgery went perfectly well, healed fast. But I'm like, if that didn't happen, where would I have been?
Yeah. So you said something very important there, Juan. You said You know, within that time, I looked at it as an opportunity to move forward. So a couple of things I see there: A, you have the will to do better, and B, whereas most people, from what I've observed in a situation like that, you know, it's the end of the world, and like you said, most people probably would have just been popped up for 2 months, the leg up, just eating, you know, ice cream, Ben and Jerry's ice cream, talking about, you know, how you know,
Jerry
messed up the world.
right.
But you learned how to turn a positive into a quote unquote a perceived negative into a positive. But that's what Napoleon Hill talks about in Think and Grow Rich. In that first chapter about desire, he said, you know, in temporary defeat is usually where the seeds of the equivalent success are planted. So in that perception, or where it's to most people, because Juan Pablo knew what was happening, but to the world, it was like, oh, Juan, your leg, your foot, you're going to be away. Like, what are you going to do? How are you going to live? How are you going to survive? But in your mind, you already knew it was good. But to most people, you know, they thought that, you know, that defeat was it for you. When in reality, like, nah, that was actually like the springboard to your eventual success. So for all y'all listening out there, you know, you got to learn how to make the most of your time. I think you said it too, Juan. You said, and this is a quote that you shared, but you know, you can tell the difference between a rich man and a poor man by what they do in their spare time. I believe I saw that in one of your videos as well.
Yeah,
Um,
that's completely true.
so kind of talk about that real quick, because I believe, Ron, like that's really one of the biggest areas where a lot of people don't realize is their competitive advantage is their free time. It's like they're kind of like lost in this idea of, well, I did just go to work for 8 hours, and if I don't have kids, and I deserve some time to quote unquote relax. And if I do have kids and I need to take care of my kids, and if I do have some time after that, then maybe I'll relax and, you know, drink a beer or, you know, watch my favorite TV show. When in reality, it's just like, no, that's prime time to be getting it done.
That's 100% true, and it's all about your most valuable resources. Like your two most valuable resources are time and money, right? And I believe, you know, time is more valuable than money because money can always be replaced. You know, with business, like we just said earlier, 9 out of 10 businesses fail. You can lose that money, but you can get it right back with the next, you know, business that happens to work out. So your time is the most valuable resources you have because it's finite. You only have so many hours, minutes, and days on this earth. You know, so you want to use your time wisely. And so most people, you know, you have living expenses. You have, you know, a house. You have housing needs. You have food. You have entertainment. You have clothing. So you have all these other needs, right? That needs to be financed. So of course, the most logical thing to do, and based upon society's norms, is for you to get a day job so you can afford your lifestyle, your standard of living, which is okay. You know, I have nothing against working at a day job. If you're passionate about your job, by all means do it. But I always advise people, you know, have another source of income. You know, so working can be an option, not an obligation. But back to what I was saying is, so if you're spending a big chunk of your day, 8 hours a day, working a day job, you might sleep for somewhere between 6 and 8 hours, and you're factoring community costs, you're factoring, you know, your charitable things. You're also factoring in families, all this other stuff. So you only have a limited amount of time left over to make yourself rich. And I believe, like, since your time is so valuable, why spend your money on things that are not going to contribute to your financial success? Like that's just a luxury you can't afford. If you're watching cable, if you know what's going on with Atlanta Housewives, or you know what's going on with NFL and the playoffs right now, like you said, you know the stats of one of collegiate basketball player, you're just wasting your time because you're still going to be in that same financial position as time ticks away. And it all boils down really because I like the name of your brand, you know, Billionaire Belief, because the key word to me is just your belief system. You have to tackle your belief system. And most people, they have, I don't want to term it wrong beliefs, but it's not the right belief, you know, that you should have. And you really have to tackle the beliefs that you have in regard to getting yourself to the next level. Because like I hear this a lot from people. Like they think like, oh, show me the skill set. Show me how to flip a house. Show me how to convert credit cards into cash. Show me how to repair my credit. Show me how I should get started. But I'm like, really, the truth of the matter is, it's not the skill set, it's your mindset. We have to tackle this thing right here. Like you referenced Napoleon Hill. That's like the whole premise of his book. It's about how you think. If you use your spare time to change how you think, then you can grow rich, you know. And I think that's the key thing. So it's not just the how-to stuff, which is vitally important. Don't get me wrong, but it's the why to. Why you
Exactly.
should, yeah. And that's what I think you need to be doing in your spare time, not just researching about real estate investing, blah blah blah, or business, but really diving into that stuff that deals with your belief system, how to change who you are.
That's amazing, and that's one of the reasons why I did decide to name the platform Billionaire Belief, because as I began to learn like this thing called personal development, and there were rich people out here who were actually sharing their ideas. And the biggest thing I learned, Juan, was like you said, it wasn't necessarily about the skill set; it was about the mindset. So when I was thinking of names, I was just like, well, what's the highest mindset a person can have? You know what I'm saying? And I was just like, well, billionaire. So like, we gotta infuse people with some billionaire belief. And with the whole idea of it's not necessarily about the physical dollars, but like you said, it's just the mindset. And there's another book I read by a gentleman, is I forgot the gentleman's name, but basically in the book, he asked the question. They said, if IBM was to create a computer that had the storage capacity of the human mind, like how much would said machine cost? And the individual said, $2 billion. And then I read another book by a gentleman named Steve Siebel. It's how rich people think. And in that one, he said, people would rather clip coupons than leverage their billion-dollar mind to create a fortune for themselves. And so for me reading those two books, I kind of reconfirmed my own personal thought of why I should name the platform Billionaire Belief, which is why, it ended up being that, because it was like, well, if we do have a brain in our mind that people are saying could be worth billions of dollars, and that means that we all have billionaire belief in us. It's just a matter of being able to tap into it and allow it to be to produce the and going back to, like you said, I don't believe in good, bad, beautiful, or ugly beliefs either, but I tell people all the time, I came from an environment where I had disempowering beliefs about money. And it wasn't until I took myself out of that environment. Like I chose as myself to reevaluate the agreements that I had about money that I got as a kid, and kind of like took those off the table. And then through reading and being around this new environment of personal development, I learned like, oh, well, there are people out here who do think like that. And that's what allows them to become that allows them to achieve the financial success that they want for themselves. So like I said, like billionaire belief, like that's what we all got. That's what we all need. So let's make it do what it do. And hence, hey, now we have the platform. So like you said, but it's all about here though. And like you said, a lot of people they'll sit here, and like I've had it done to me numerous times. People were just like, oh dang, show me what you've done, or show me the skill set. And I'll just say, like, I understand where you're coming from, but realize like what I want for myself, my personal goals, as well as the skill set that we all are gonna have to master to get there, is all it's for every individual person. So what I want for financial freedom is not what you want, and it isn't, because for you, the factors that you're taking into consideration to get your financial freedom goal is going to be different from mine. But the mechanics, the skill sets will be the same. So yes, the skill sets are the same, but before all of that, it starts up here and it starts in here. And so until we get the mindset right, then it's kind of futile. And I learned, and I'm saying that from my own personal experience, because I used to be the guy, Juan. I went to every seminar that I could. I was buying every book that I could. I can't tell you how much money I've spent on courses online that I never took. I would just buy them, just like, oh, $50 here, $100 here, 200, literally just buy them just and I would tell myself, oh, let me just buy it now so I can have it, and I got to do it later. But till this day, like, I know I have thousands of dollars worth of content that I can't even find no more, to be perfectly honest with you. But I do say all that to say that for what it was worth, ladies and gentlemen, that I was willing to do what Juan said. I was willing to exile myself from the fun and games, the shenanigans, I would say. And I literally exiled myself. One, like I said, I was in a book. If I wasn't in a book, I was looking at a video on YouTube. If I wasn't doing that, I was looking for an event to attend or a seminar to be at, or like you said, joining these groups. I was a part of Toastmasters. I was just going to all these different networking events, meeting these people, and it was just amazing because I was just like, every time I would go somewhere, I wanted to be like, damn, like I didn't know this existed. Like, why is this the first time I'm learning about this? And, you know, damn, why did my parents ever do none of this stuff? Like, what was they doing? But then you learn, like they say, actions speak louder than words. So while a lot of people talk about being successful, very few actually put the work in to make it happen.
And I like just to go back to the belief or the mindset thing, how you perceive things. You know, it's really like you either react or respond, whatever word you want to choose, either through fear or through faith. You know, like when you hear that statistics, 9 out of 10 businesses fail. If you had like a fear-based belief system, you might say, oh, that's too risky. See, you hear the statistics and it's proven, it's factual. You know what? I'm going to stay away from this because I'm not going to fail if I stay at my day job. But if you have like a faith-based mindset or a faith-based belief system, you say, even if that is factual, it's not true for me. Because I'm going to make sure because truth is relative, you know, it's based upon, you know, like beauty is the eye of the beholder. Whatever's true for you, you can actually realize its potential. And if you have that faith-based mindset, you say, you know what? I don't care what that statistic is. I'm going to be that one business that does succeed.
Exactly.
So that happens to you, you know, injury, what have you, lost a job. Because I had one coworker working for the government. We had a furlough a couple years back. I call into work. I'm like my usual self, just happy. And he looked like very distressed. You know, you can see it all over his face. And I'm like, yo, what's going on, man? You doing all right? He's like, and he just snapped at me. He was like, I mean, it's easy for you to have a smile on your face because you don't have a wife and a kid to take care of. You don't have 2 expensive cars to pay the notes off of or what have you. And I'm like, no, man. I'm like, it's not about me not having a family or very expensive car because I had neither at the time because I'm just focused on my grind. You know what I'm saying? I said, no, that's not really the case. It's really, I have multiple streams of income. You know, so I'm not dependent on just one source. And to me, that's foolish. You know, just to have one stream of income because if that stream dries up, like a furlough, things that's out of your control, you're you know up the creek without a paddle, so to speak.
Exactly.
And it's just how you perceive things. Because with him, he saw that as, oh man, now how am I going to do this? But to me, I see this as a greater opportunity that now I can focus more on my other revenue streams. It's just really about how you perceive things, which makes the difference, man. You could respond fearfully or faithfully.
And that's really it. Because like you said, you either gotta, and this is what Napoleon Hill was talking about in Think and Grow Rich. You could either be a person of success consciousness, or as you just talked about it, a faith-based belief system, or failure-based or failure consciousness, or like you said, fear-based, where everything is like everything you look at in the world is filtered through fear, literally filtered through failure, and where you feel like, oh, I'm a failure before you even like that. And to me, that's kind of like one of the most disheartening things I would say that I'm starting to experience with this newfound belief system, or the more empowering belief system I have now is just being able to look at a person and really know, like, okay, it's just a matter of beliefs. I got to get this person over that hurdle. But in their mind, they're just like, I just don't do it. Like, I can't do it. Like, no. And you're just like, it's really just as simple as you just having faith in yourself. And they're just like, no, I can't. I'm never going to be able to produce my own income statement, Dane. I'm not going to be able to do it. Like, I'm not good at math. I'm not good at. No, it's like they will give you everything.
Or I'll be able to buy my home, and it's like not if, but when.
Yeah.
Like, bro, you can buy a home. Just take a little step at a time. And again, like I said, I was kind of like this. And sooner or later, you'd be like this. Exponential growth.
Mm-hmm.
It's very true, man. And it's like it's either failure or success, and you just got to really just focus on the things you want. That's really what it is. Just focus on your desired result.
Focus
And
on the different.
ignore the things you don't want. Don't become emotionally attached with it.
Exactly.
That's the hard part, because you're believing like, yeah, I'm gonna be financially free. Yeah, I'm gonna be a millionaire. I'm gonna be a billionaire. I'm gonna do this and that. And then it's like, dang, I got this unexpected bill. Then you all sad. Or you're like, I'm believing for great relationships, a beautiful spouse, whatever it is. You're like, dang, man, she will not shut up. She just keep nagging me day and night. Man, I'm gonna take out the trash, But it's like, you can't be a double-minded person. You got to be single-minded,
Exactly.
Yeah.
So with that being said, Juan, let's kind of like end things. We're coming around third base, so I'd say. So let's before we get done, let's talk about what's hot now and in the future. From your perspective, what do you see happening for this thing we call financial freedom, financial success, financial independence, real estate investing? What's the hot now, and like what do you see happening being hot in the future?
Okay, hot now. From my perspective, is multifamily investing. Interest rates are low. I just closed on an 11 unit last month, actually December, 4.65% interest rate on an 11 unit apartment building. And I was able to get seller financing at a 5% interest rate at a 10-year amortization period to pay it off. So like you can get huge amounts of cash flow. The profitability is through the roof, and I still bought it with built-in equity. So I can leverage, do a cash out refinance, holding it maybe 2 years, and then pay off the seller financing. And I'll also say online business is hot too. I love real estate, but I never have to worry about a furnace going out in the middle of winter when it comes to an online business. My biggest concern with online business is maybe a customer might want a refund or something, which is nothing, you know what I'm saying? But I like online business because it's all about leverage. That's what if you start off with little capital, leverage is the name of the game, and the internet provides you with that leverage, as well as we're in the age of self-promotion. We have YouTube, you have podcasts, you have Twitter, you have Instagram, you have Facebook, you have Periscope, you have all these other social media platforms in which you can promote yourself, your product, your belief, your system, your blueprint, your whatever it is you want to promote, and you can attract a market in which you can advertise your products to, or create a product to and sell it to them. So I think that's an easy way to get financial freedom.
And I want to piggyback on that last point, right, that you made, Juan, as far as the online business, kind of like being what's going to be hot in the future. And specifically, though, people do not believe me, Juan, when I tell them. They ask, like, they look at Billionaire Belief and they're just like, oh, that's just this big website, and you've invested all these hundreds of thousands of dollars in it, and you're talking to people like Juan Pablo, who are these famous YouTube celebrities, and they'll never talk to me. And I'm just like, bro, I spent $10 on a URL. Maybe at the time, what was it? Maybe $100, $120 for annual hosting. So not just for this one Billionaire Belief website, but for any website that I have. I bought the land in today. So right now I'm at about $110. And then let's just say I wanted to spend, luckily for me, I did have the ability to the graphic design, video production, web development. So I did not have those costs, those traditional costs that most people would have. But for what it's worth, for what I knew the value that I could bring to the table, I tell you all the time, like, just all money in, like, I probably only had to spend no more than, we'll just call it math easy, $200, and for some people that's a pair of Jordans. So for the pair of Jordans, I was able to create this magnanimous platform that people perceive cost me $100,000 to create. And so with online business, ladies and gentlemen, it really, you're like Juan just said, compared to wanting to start, a shoe store where you got to take into consideration the upfront costs of, just getting the building, so the lease. So you're going to have to go talk to a guy like Juan Pablo and see if maybe you can work out some sort of deal with him. But just your upfront costs with the lease and just your utilities and just the furniture, you're probably, all in tens of thousands of dollars before you open up your doors to welcome in your first customer. As a pair of online business, maybe $200, maybe 200, but you will have to put some sweat equity in. You're gonna have to do some learning. But for what it's worth, a phenomenal business opportunity, and it is real. You have someone right here, Mr. 100percentfinance.com. He's telling you the biggest problem I have, ladies and gentlemen, is maybe getting a refund from maybe having to give a refund. So Juan, just so everyone knows, I'm going to ask you some questions because they're going to say like, Juan, you get real money for running your online businesses, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the great thing about it is you actually get paid to play on Facebook. That's how I look at it. Like, because the main thing with the time and age we're in now, clients or customers want interaction. They want to be able to see you as someone they can touch and reach out to, and you can give that to them through these platforms. And yeah, you can monetize it as well. So yes, to answer your question, yes.
Yes. So, ladies and gentlemen, you have
It is
someone
a
right
business.
here.
It's an online business. It is a business. You treat, yes, you have passions, but if you're not making money, it's just a hobby. And I don't
Exactly.
have hobbies, you know. I have businesses.
So the hustle is real. And I kid you not, when I tell so many people, when I made my first digital dollar, people did not believe me. They thought that it was one of those like phishing emails or something like, oh, there's no way someone would just randomly pay you. I think it was only for like $25 too, but it was, oh, there's no way someone would spend money and like they don't know you and da 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 da. And I'm just like, bro, like I showed them the receipt that I got from PayPal. I showed them the receipt that I got from the affiliate. They still don't believe me, and I'm just like, bro, this is where it's at. This is the future. Come in, let me just share some things with you guys, so you know you can figure it out on yourself. But people, they do not believe me, and that's okay though. You know, that's okay. And but you know what I'm saying, I'm still going to do what I believe I have a duty to do, which is what we're doing right now, sharing the information. But all in all, Juan, it's been a pleasure. But before I let you go, I got 5 cold hard questions for you that I want to ask. And the first one is this: what is your favorite book?
Ooh, favorite. That's tough. I have 5 that I've read more than 5 times, but I have to say the one I read daily would be the Bible.
The Bible.
It'd be more particular, Proverbs.
Oh, Proverbs 8. There it is. And now,
it's 31 days in a month. I read whatever day of the month is. Today's the 10th, so I read Proverbs chapter 10. Because Solomon was the richest man and the wisest man that ever lived. So I want his mindset to become my mindset.
hey, it's a real spit right there. Now, can we get an honorable mention?
Go ahead.
I said, can we get an honorable, yeah, for the book, an honorable mention outside the Bible?
It's a tie between Think and Grow Rich and Rich Dad Poor Dad. Only because Rich Dad Poor Dad like flipped the switch, but Think and Grow Rich maybe go from I'll say from a gradual increase to exponential increase.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we got the Bible.
But more towards Think and Grow Rich.
Okay. So we got the Bible, Think and Grow Rich, and Rich Dad Poor Dad. Excellent, phenomenal books. I own them all myself, and I do read them all myself. Next question. What's your favorite exercise?
Favorite exercise? Oh, dog. I do like, that's crazy. I do like hybrids. I do, it's like home workout. So I do P90X and I do Insanity.
Okay.
So I'm too. Like, Insanity got like, I got it actually right here. Insanity has like excellent like cardio and strength, like to burn fat, keep your heart rate up. But P90X focuses more on strength. Like I would do Insanity, but I'm like, I feel like I'm cut up, but I'll be frail, no upper body strength or nothing. But then you do P90X, you have the upper body strength, but you won't be cut up. So I like to mix the two together.
That makes perfect sense.
But primarily home workout. That's all I do is home workout. I don't go to the gym.
And hey, that's a good point too, because I was reading something a while back and it said, what good is having wealth if you have no health? So that's why I did ask that question, because a lot of people kind of think they can skip out on the exercise. But that's an important part of, I believe it's an important part of living a financially free life, because what good would it be to have all this money, all this cash flow coming in, but I got to spend every day in the hospital? And there are people like that.
Right. And what's good having all this money if you don't got a pretty lady to spend it on?
Exactly. That's too.
But yeah, I agree with you 100%, man. I feel like there's a lot of similarities between our mindsets, because I think, like they say, great minds think alike. And I think a lot of people who are successful, they wake up early, they work out, they read, they do their business, they're pretty much they do the same stuff, pretty much.
Every day.
Yep, every day. Yep, without no one having to breathe down their neck telling them to do it. You know.
Exactly. So next question, who would you like to mentor you?
Ooh, who I'd like to mentor me?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, that's a great question. It will have to be someone kind of like I know there's a lot of controversy around Donald Trump. Not saying I support him as a presidential candidate, but as a businessman, I think he's very amazing. Him and Robert Kiyosaki, because they all started off, like maybe in real estate or what have you, but then they touched on different areas, and they have like, to me, I would like to be more so of a serial entrepreneur, not just be categorized into just one box.
Hey, I totally agree with you on that one. In that, like I said, like now, having a little bit more knowledge yourself, I can't say that I agree with everything Donald Trump says, but if we're just talking business, then yes, Donald Trump is definitely somebody who's on my list, because he has, just within business, he has accomplished some things that I wouldn't mind accomplishing. I mean, and that's just what it was. And it's funny because I can tell that to a person, and like they'll look at me like, oh, like how can you be the RBG guy or the pod, but you rock with. I'm like, because I don't let keeping it real keep me from a real business opportunity. And I'm telling you right now, if Donald Trump was to come into my house and say, hey, I got a deal, like I would be like, yes, like what do you need for me to do?
Right.
Yes. I definitely don't believe that he would be a great president, but when it comes to business, yes, Mr. Trump, what do you need me for? I'm there all day.
Like one of my homeboys, he's excellent at like Call of Duty, bro. Like from middle school, this dude lives, breathes, and sleeps Call of Duty. And so if I wanted a mentor like that, yeah, I'll go to him. I mean, I wouldn't care about anything else he got going on. But if I wanted to get better at playing Call of Duty, because he's ranked, I don't know, 70th in the world or something like that, then I would go to him. So it's like that in the same token.
Exactly.
So some people might have some positives, some negatives. But it's like, yo, if I'm looking for this particular aspect, because you actually master that, then yeah, by all means. I just have to, filter it,
Exactly.
Just consume the good and dish out the bad. Yeah.
Okay. Fourth question. What's your favorite app to use?
Oh, favorite app. Oh, YouTube.
Hey, say no
Say
more.
YouTube. Yeah, YouTube. Not just for me, because I market myself a lot on YouTube, but I like to watch a lot of YouTube. That's how I felt like I learned a lot of stuff was YouTube.
Yes.
And I can be able to connect, because people, they leave a lot of comments, stuff like that. So I like to respond to that as well.
And just to kind of, before we leave, to piggyback on YouTube, specifically YouTube University, I tell these people all the time, Juan, I said, at this point in your life, if you don't know anything, it's because you don't want to know it, because everything that you would like to know, someone has either asked the question or made a video about it on YouTube. So there's no excuse for ignorance. And literally, I don't allow that for anybody. I was like, there's no excuse. Like, you have no excuse. I will not allow you to know it, because we have YouTube, and everything that you want to know is on YouTube.
We're in the information age, man. There's no excuses. If you're poor, if you're not where you want to be in your life, because you're comfortable with it, there's no excuse to say, oh, I didn't know. Like, come on, man. You can easily search this stuff in the search engine. Simple.
Very simple. So, last question.
Ready.
What's your favorite album? Now, before you answer or say anything, it doesn't have to be a specific genre. It doesn't have to be a mixtape. It doesn't have to be, just what is Juan Pablo's favorite album?
It's a tie between the Black Album by Jay-Z and Kanye West, Late Registration.
Oh, that's dope, bro. It's funny you say those two specific albums, because literally, I had just I was cleaning up around the house the other day, and I stumbled upon some of my old CDs, and like those were literally the first two on top, like Late Registration and the Black Album. Like no real spit, bro. Like real spit.
Like lyric for lyric, I can like ride with it. You know what I'm saying?
That's
See,
dope.
you
Well,
got the in the back. I just noticed it.
yeah, I've had it. Yeah, I've had it up
Oh, the
there.
gay side. Yeah, yeah.
I've
See,
had it up there the whole time. But like, yeah, that's like my little my Kappa shrine. Right? That's actually my wood project right here. Our wood project, we cut out the letters and put them on there, and like the little dots right there is for our chapter year was 74. And and then like after we made the wood project, it was just like, oh shit, like I didn't realize I had made that. And so that's kind of like my memento, but just to talk about that one, and just within the context, so for all of our fellow brothers of Kappa Alpha Psi who are watching this, yo baby, yo to all the other D9s and any other Greek, but just any other college graduate. But I would like to share this with you. I purposely do have that up for another reason as well, Juan, and that's just to keep me in that state of mind that both of us understand of, the real pledging starts when you cross. And I still carry a scribble pad. I still have I have a brain.
brain. Yeah.
I have a couple of I'm mindful of my time, my TikTok, but I still keep myself in that state of mind, Juan. Like real spit, bro. I still keep myself in that state of mind, and I share it with my other frat brothers as well. I was like the same way. We knew we had to be at Dean's house to do this, or the same way we knew we had to be here to do that. The same way we knew that same level of urgency and alertness that we brought to that process is the same alertness and urgency that we are to bring to any goal that we have. That was my takeaway from the pledge process. It was like, it doesn't matter if I'm pledging. It doesn't matter if I'm talking to a young lady. It doesn't matter if I'm trying to achieve my financial freedom goal. The same mentality applies, period. And it's just amazing me sometimes when I speak to some of my frat brothers, specifically ours, and it's just kind of like, bro, like you're a noob. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, especially no excuses. That's what I took away from it. No excuses. Like, hey, I want a double cheeseburger at 3 a.m. You show up at 3:01. You're like, oh, it was traffic. Oh, the cashier took too long to count the change. Like, nah, bro, what's excuses? And also, just once I got out of college and started working, I realized like there's no such thing as pressure anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like the stuff I had to learn at set, like at a moment's notice, like they kind of push you to the limits. You're like, when you go to the workplace, this stuff is easy.
Mm-hmm.
And it teaches you to be a man about it. Like if you do fall short, like your boss wanted this project done by Friday and it's Thursday, just like with your dean, you would go to him ahead of time and perhaps ask for an extension.
Exactly.
Or you might work later or ask for cooperation. You might need your other line brothers to help you out on your part. So same thing, you might ask your other colleagues in the workplace to assist you. To ask for, at least request additional resources or additional time before that deadline comes. It teaches you a lot of stuff like that you might not have ever known if you didn't go through the process. But,
yeah, I know it did for me, brother. And like I said, it those same principles, unity, acting, feeling, being is one. Like you said, being present of time, and like you said, and really, like, hey, I remember, like, hey, Dean said we need to be here at 9:37. He didn't mean 9:38, and he did not mean 9:36. He meant 9:37. So if we had to get to where we need to be to, and literally be at his door, so that when on his clock, when it said 9, and that was another thing when his clock said 9:37, not on my clock. So I had to, well, hey, Dean, I need to put my phone number in your just so you can, all right, my clock is synced, all right, cool, like, so that you would know. But it's literally those little pieces of details that I still allow to guide me in a sense through my life. And this is kind of like, sometimes I'll be having to remind some of my frat brothers, like some of our fellow frat brothers, I have to say, like, yo, you're a noob. Like, so I expect that from one of them other guys over there. You're a noob, bro. Like, I know, I don't expect this.
Hold you to a higher standard, right?
Yeah, higher standard, right? Top choice to the lady's voice. It's that way for a reason. But nevertheless, Mr. Pablo, it was a pleasure, man. I'm thankful and grateful and appreciative that I myself am a wealth builder, and I was on YouTube, and I came across the specific video I came across was you know, how wealthy people think.
Yeah.
And then from that video, I was like, oh, this brother, I was like, that's dope. I was like, that's literally the what I put in the search engine. Someone actually created some content, so I was watching it. And then, like I said, I started to watch some of the other videos, and I saw like the yo in one of the videos, and I was like, wait a minute, is that brother?
Yeah.
That
Right.
brother with business? And then like I said, I reached out to you, and then now we're here speaking. So I definitely look forward to it, man.
I'm gonna have to get you on my podcast whenever you have the time.
Hey, we will definitely make it happen. I'm definitely down for the call. So for anything, you know, I'm saying online business, for example, like I'm all for that. You know, so for all the people who have difficulties getting their websites up, or just understanding what needs to happen for that to happen, video, like anything creative services wise, brother. Like I said, I could definitely serve. So let me know what you need, and I can walk you or some of your audience be able to do some basic stuff to make it do what it do. So and I'm here to do it. So I definitely will be bringing you back on to the show.
Excellent.
So we can continue to speak more to our people. And I believe it's important that our people hear this message coming from individuals like you and I, because yeah, I get it, you know. And one of my frat brothers told me, he's like, just be honest with you, D. He was like, because I sent him a couple of Jim Rohn videos, and he was just like, I just can't, you know, I can't relate to this guy. And so and that's why one of the reasons too I decided to start doing these one was because I was like, well, I know the information is good, so if the market is telling me that, you know, I can rock with it, but I'm just not rocking with the transmitter, the person transmitting the information, then all right, well, let me go and find some people who they can relate to. And then luckily for me, like, and that's how I found you. And it was like, oh, let me reach out to this brother. And then now we're here doing it. So I'm definitely gonna have you on again. I appreciate you making the time to come speak with us on this lovely Sunday morning. And if my ending question is always this: if what question didn't I ask you that I should have?
Oh, that's a good one. Maybe if there's any what's next, I guess.
What's
Like
next?
what's next in the future, perhaps. Like because one of philosophy, like there's billionaire principles, and one of them is always play a bigger game. So it's like you always want to make sure you don't get too comfortable with your level of success, and as you always want to go to the next level with it.
Okay.
So that probably would be a decent question.
So hey, and now is there anyone that you recommend that we interview next?
You said the interview next?
Who would you recommend that we interview next?
Oh man, I have a couple of dudes from New York that might be good to interview for. In regard to this topic, I would say this guy named Joko.
Okay. Well, let's make that happen, brother.
He's a good dude. He's similar to you in regard to like the mindset and the beliefs, and he really talks to the heart of the matter. So he's
nice.
Really, yeah, good friend of mine in New York.
Okay, well, we go back.
He's a multi-family as well. So
excellent day. Well, Mr. Pablo, I'm gonna let you get back to your day. I was like, once again, appreciate you. We appreciate the insights, all the wisdom, all the knowledge that you share with us today. But most importantly, you know, audience viewers, make sure y'all go put this brother's wisdom to work. Go ahead, let them know where they can find you. Let them know where they can follow you. Let them know they can go and download all of the products that you have to offer.
Okay, great. I'll say if you can subscribe to 100percentfinance.com. That's 100percentfinance.com, and you'll be able to get a blueprint of how to get started. And of course, your number. Because a lot of people say, "Oh, I want to have 1 billion properties. I want to make X amount of money in real estate or online businesses," but they don't know their personal numbers. You know, if you don't know your personal numbers, how can you effectively manage the numbers for a business? So to me, that's the first and foremost thing you need to do to get started. So I give people the blueprint, so to speak, when you subscribe. You also get credit repair tips and a free ebook on business credit, how you can obtain business credit.
Hey, there it is. So make sure y'all go ahead and support that brother. Follow him up. Go subscribe up and stay connected. Stay locked in and enrich your mind with Mr. Juan Pablo's information because it is real. I brought the man in the flesh. He just told you out of his own mouth that he's doing this 100% finance, ladies and gentlemen. So there's no reason why you yourself cannot have whether it's the property, but most importantly, you're gonna have to get this stuff so that you can do what you want to do, which whether that's taking your family on vacations, whether that's just being able to quit your job, whether that's just having the money to be able to donate to your favorite organization or to support your favorite cause. You know, you're gonna have to have these assets in place to be able to do that. So Mr. Pablo told you guys out of his mouth, he's doing it himself. So go ahead and do it yourself. Anything else, Mr. Pablo?
No, I just want to say thanks, man. I appreciate the opportunity. Thanks for having me and inviting me onto your Google Hangouts. And I wish you the best in your success, and keep following this guy, man. His website's amazing too, and I would advise everyone subscribe to his website and get his ebook as well.
There it is. Well, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you once again for tuning in. Be sure to go subscribe, billionairebelief.com, and we'll be back to you next time. Till next time, peace.